Hey guys, this is Eléonor from Revolution. I am here with Julien Schaerer, who happens to be the managing director at Antiquorum. We are here in the Antiquorum showroom, and we're going to discover a couple of first unusual and affordable pieces before some more traditional brands and models for the upcoming auction that will be held on Saturday at the Beau-Rivage Hotel starting at 2 p.m. for the first part.
Correct.
So, Julien, can you explain to me, just the exact same way you explained to me a couple of minutes ago, why did you decide to introduce the Tissot and the Gubelin pieces, which are two pieces that we not only rarely see, but we rarely have our hands on?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, in today's market where people are like constantly looking for unusual or things that they don't see, I thought that might be like an interesting selection of either a nice complication or a stainless steel chronograph that would be at like affordable ranges and things that you've probably never seen in your life, even though they're from brands that everybody knows. So that was the reason why I chose those two pieces.
So if we start with the Gubelin.
Yeah, the Gubelin, honestly, for me, it's my favorite lot of the sale. It's the number one lot. It was consigned by a Zurich client who actually walked in. It was a story that lasted over 2 years. He was hesitant to sell it, and then finally he decided it's a beautiful waterproof, which is unusual for Gubelin. It's from the 60s. It's an 18 karat yellow gold. A lot of them you find in 14 carats, and it's got a triple date. And a moon phase complication, and with a beautiful kind of Art Deco lugs that you can see there, and it's a nice diameter. It comes in at 37 millimeters, which is just a watch I personally have never seen in this configuration, and really I love it.
And why didn't you keep it for yourself?
I wish I could, but that's against my job description. So I wish I could. I mean, listen, I had the chance of handling it now for like the past a month since we got it in, but I'm happy to see it go to a good home, as it's just something that you see, and for me, once in a lifetime over 30 years. So just overall fantastic.
So first lot, first bid,
first
get your
lot,
orders in.
First bid, exactly.
Thank you so much. The Tissot one, which has also very interesting dial innocence of coloring, because there's a range of almost champagne yellow, but also light brown and black dial, which homogeneously becomes kind of a chocolate dial.
Yeah, it
to
does.
some extent.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening inside that dial?
Well, a lot of things happen. It's quite reminiscent of the Omega chronographs that you see from that time, which also had multi-scales, usually a combination of telemeter and tachometer scales. This comes in like a nice snap-on case, so probably indicating a production time around the 1950s. It's got a really nice dial that's really kept in fantastic condition. And in the end, it's just a contrast of those colors, that brings a lot to life. And, it's rare to see those Tissot chronographs. In the end, they didn't make much fewer than their counterparts, Omega sides. And, for a 10 to 15,000 estimate, I think it's a way to have a really great 40s chronograph that you don't see that often.
So the Tissot would be an estimate of 10-14, and then the Gubelin would be an estimate of 6-10.
Correct, exactly.
So those are the go-to choices for affordable and unusual at the very same time.
That would be my choices.
I like them, but I actually I like even better the next choice that you picked, which is a very unusual, yet it's a prototype. It's a brand that we've come to discover in the last 20 years that is usually known for very much futuristic design, yet the one that you're about to show and explain to us is a bit different from what we're used to see.
It's true. I mean, in the end, it's the beginnings of the brand, right?
We're talking about Urwerk here.
We're talking about Urwerk, obviously. It's the satellite display Urwerk that really became known to collectors as the first model launch. What's really nice is that the success that Urwerk has today was at the time a real hard venture for the Baumgartner brothers to get it out and to market this piece when they launched it at Basel. It was kind of weird, it was kind of unusual looking. This is a combination of an aluminium and platinum case, and it was very interesting to see that, at the beginning they had to almost do door-to-door knocking in order to sell these first pieces, because people were kind of taken aback by this futuristic look of it. But what was even nicer was when we spoke to Félix about it, is that basically they said that the creation of this case, which was a combination, as I said, of aluminium and platinum, was so difficult to make that, contrary to what they had thought, to make probably about 50 pieces, it was so difficult to guarantee the waterproofness of it that they only made between 5 and 10. And this is contrary to the further ones, which are limited with a number. This one just has the number 1. It was consigned by the original owner who bought it from them back at the time, and it's in almost unworn condition.
Yeah,
I mean,
pristine
he wore it a few times and then had just kept it, and now it's really nice also to see that Urwerk and their early prototypes have the success that they have, when at the beginning it was a real struggle as independent watchmakers, and I think it's a success that's really well deserved for them.
I agree with that. Couldn't agree more. Moving on to the next 2 pieces, which are more traditional and conservative to some extent. Yet the Patek Philippe that is the lot number 200 is not only easy to remember, but it has that tiny, not diameter, but it's becoming much smaller than what we're used to see, especially nowadays with the rise of the Nautilus and any other larger timepiece. So tell us, what's the story behind that watch?
I mean, the 1463, I think it's been talked about a lot. It's been covered a lot as well, because of the fact that, of course, it was the first waterproof chronograph.
You have waterproof watches right now. Are you going diving anytime soon?
I quite like waterproof. I don't know why, there's something about screwing down that back that's kind of satisfying, rather than just this hard clip-on that you have to do. But this classic waterproof 1463, probably the most understated, elegant watch, in my opinion, that Patek ever made. It's got the great tasti-tondi buttons that is very known for, with this nice rigging around it. That's one of the characteristics of that chronograph. And 1463 comes in like many variations, but for a lot of the collectors, of course, the Breguet applied numerals is probably the nicest. Certified, yeah, exactly, by the extract that confirms that, which is not always the case, but there we're lucky enough that it does confirm that fact. And it's probably, to me, one of the most elegant looking and the most desirable 1463 that they ever made.
Cool, well, thank you. Now the Lange & Sohne, which has this, I think it's the first metallic bracelet that you're showing part of the collection, and open back for the matter.
Exactly.
Why such a choice, according to all of these?
I think variety is the essence of life, and I think Lange has really had an increased interest over the years. I mean, in the end, probably one of the best made wristwatch ever in terms of finishing. Once you see the finishing of the movement of a Lange one, there's no doubt as to the quality that comes there. But here what I like is the kind of maybe a little bit over-the-top look of this very special Wellendorf bracelet, which is this German bracelet brand which did all these integrated and bracelets for Lange, which is kind of heavy but gives it a completely different look than the classic Lange one that looks very
sporty side of things.
Yeah, sporty side of things. And what was really nice is that which we didn't know up until now is that this integrated bracelet version, they only made 50 pieces of it.
Okay.
Complete for the whole production. So it's a nice example and in really, really nice condition. And I just like that overall heavy look of it. Just changes completely what it looks like.
I agree. Yeah. So now let me ask you one thing. Based on the selection of the 5 pieces, which are according to you the 5 highlights, or at least a couple of pieces from the upcoming auctions, what's going on with the vintage market? Because obviously everybody's been hearing about the top 4 brands and everybody's been looking for that, but based on your selection, there's still some interest for more eclectic yet peculiar and interesting way of looking and collecting timepieces.
I think interestingly enough now the market is focusing on different things than it did in the past. And I think now we find that the collectors are looking for either things that are either super well preserved in terms of condition. But I think that's always been the case, but I think even more so now. But now people are looking at more unusual things. And you can see, for example, the rise, if you look at, for example, Audemars Piguet, people have collected Royal Oaks for years, but now there's a big interest on pieces from the 80s, pieces from the 70s, their perpetual calendars, which have been forgotten for a long, long time. And now people are starting to appreciate these different looks or things that are just unusual overall. And you know, you can look at it overall as saying it's a different collecting perspective where it's not only interesting to collect one type of things, but to have like a nice variety of different things. Let it be waterproof, let it be a triple date, let it be a perpetual calendar. And I think this reflects in the prices where people are actually looking at different brands to collect. That's not so easy and probably much rarer than most of the pieces that you've seen that has actually been on the top lots that we've seen usually.
I mean, we need also variety for people as you were saying, like one of your first arguments were pricing. And it's true that you have really cool pieces at really affordable prices.
And that's nice. And I think, you know, we've forgotten a little bit about that,
Yeah,
you know, you can enter the market and there is a room for a beginner collector that maybe only has 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 francs to wear. And there are some amazing pieces you can buy and no need to always look at, you know, the top of the top, and you can get some amazing things that somebody else doesn't have and that has that patina, that vintage look that people appreciate.
And at the end of the day, it's all about emotion. It's not about what your neighbor's wearing, what you should be wearing or buying. So.
Exactly, it's what you love.
Thank you so much for
Thanks,
everything.
Eléonor, as always.
Good luck for the 2 upcoming auctions of this weekend, and be in touch for your time.
With pleasure, till next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.